Hi, everyone. Welcome to our chat with our Quilters Planner Ambassador, Karen Lewis. We're here in the month of October to talk all fun things regarding her block and the planner and making art and quilts and sewing and all of the fun things. So, Karen, thank you so much for being with me today, all the way
Thanks for
over
having me,
from the
Lindsay.
UK. We worked out the time zone difference, which is great. It's
We
morning for
managed
me,
it.
afternoon for you. And I love seeing all of the creative, beautiful things you have up on your wall. I recognize a few of them.
Do you?
The mini with the tassels, is that a QP project from a couple years ago?
It is from many, many
Yes,
years ago, actually.
yes.
Um, yeah, actually not many years ago, but yes, it was. It's not that exactly same one. It was based on that. It
Okay.
was a smaller piece
Smaller
one.
version.
Yeah,
Yeah.
similar.
I was
Yeah,
sorting through all of my archive photos the other day and I saw that. I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah. It's funny when
Yeah,
you look back on all these things.
right. Well, trip down memory lane, what I should have done is grabbed one of the copies of our um, magazine. So we have three issues of previous years when we used to publish the Quilters Planner magazine. We bought so many extra copies that I still sell them all the time. Um, and they feature work from you because you've been a featured designer with us for so many years, which is so great.
Mm,
So,
I
note to
have.
everybody, I will put links in the description for you can get your hands on those magazines. They're, I think, only $5 for the whole magazine, and they have like
Bargain.
10 to 12 patterns. And
Mm.
one of them features an interview with you and extra
Oh,
photos when you were our
yes.
featured designer.
Yeah.
Our featured service artist for that year's planner.
Okay. Is that the official title?
I think that was the official title. I don't know. But we were able to feature some really lovely uh, versions of your prints on the inside of the planner and a couple of
Yeah.
cover designs. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was a fun year.
That was great fun. Really enjoyed
Yeah.
that.
The other
Um,
beneficial thing that came from that year that we still also have are two things. Still have lots of copies of all of the planner stickers that have your designs
yeah.
on them, which
Yes, I
is so
know.
great.
I'd still use those. I
I
love
still
them.
sell so many of them.
Yeah.
Like people love
Yeah.
them too, which is so
Yeah.
great.
They're
Um,
fun.
and your canvas project bags, which you hand printed in your studio. You remember
Yes.
those?
Yeah.
They come in the teal and the black, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still have a lot of those too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people can still
Oh.
get lots of Karen Lewis in their life if they want a whole matching set. Uh,
Fantastic.
yeah. So obviously we love you. You've been part of the Quilters Planner for so long.
Well,
Um,
you know, I'm a huge, huge fan. Huge fan.
I'm so glad. And it's been really lovely featuring your patterns. They're always so different from year to year. And I loved having you part of the Quilters Planner Sampler this year. I know it was kind of a different take this year to do that instead of doing separate patterns, but I really love the flexibility that each of these blocks can become kind of their own pattern
Mm,
and do a full quilt
exactly.
of the
Yeah,
block
yeah,
if you wanted to. So
yeah.
let's talk about your block really quick and some tips, but then we'll get into your work and stuff. Here is the version that we have featured in our planner, and I'm going to tip my camera up so people can see. Oh, right up there in the corner, one of the
Yeah.
north facing
Dun,
blocks.
dun.
And show us your version and let's talk a little
So
bit about it.
yeah, so I
Oh, so
did another.
different.
Oh, you can see the light coming through. So sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so different. I love how blocks look so different with different
Hmm.
fabrics. And with when I was doing another sample for the Instagram post for this month, I thought I'd just grab some of my favorite
Yeah.
fabrics and
And I
favorite
love how
colors.
you changed the what I'm blocking out on you went darker for this middle section
Yes,
and then lighter
yes,
for the outer ones, which
I
adds such a
did.
different
Yeah,
um
I did.
I love that because it's dark and then medium and then light. It has a bit of a
Yeah, yeah,
radiating feel to it. Um
yeah.
whereas placing the colors this way you get that really intense core. Um,
Yeah,
just such a fun,
yeah.
different feel
It
on
is.
both
It really
ones.
is. Yeah, you can do so many different things with it. It's a
Yeah.
really fun block. And I thought after I did that, I then got it out again. I thought, oh, I could make so many of these and turn them round and
Yeah.
really you have them 90 degrees turned. So I think, well, I say I think I always have these ideas and don't always carry them out. But
But
if time was not an object, that would be
yeah,
definitely a plan.
yeah,
So
I definitely would love to um see, what about just like a whole row of these, just the full length of the quilt, part way
yeah,
over, asymmetrical. Anyway, it's
that would be
inspiring
fun.
me for sure.
Yeah, that would be
So
fun.
tell
And
me how you were inspired by this to make this block and kind of how it came to pass.
so this came from another sampler that I did not long ago, actually, not too long before this. I did a sampler with my Figo Hampton Court fabrics. I was trying to find it and I haven't got it to hand. And these little blocks were it wasn't quite like this. It was just a row of three, and it also just had one shadowing
Mm,
around
yeah,
it like
yeah.
that. And
So this is
did
like, sorry, go ahead.
and I did have a row of them. I did think I did have a couple. Oh no, I know what I did. I had a core, I had a cross, and I had them
Mm,
coming out like a compass. Again, a compass coming out. And then when you gave the dimensions of the size of this block, I thought, oh, well, that would work really well to incorporate another row of the shadows that came
yeah.
out the
Yeah,
side.
I was gonna say it
Um,
looks like a supersized version
yeah,
of what you're describing.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that
So
that became another iteration of that idea.
exactly, exactly. So yeah, so that was really fun to use it and alter it.
Yeah,
Um,
it definitely has some heft to it. Some of them are, more delicate or more minimal, but I really love the
yeah,
maximalism approach that
yeah,
this block really gives to the variety of the sampler. So that's
yeah,
really fun. So it is constructed uniquely. I remember working through this with you, and we were trying to decide like how should we best,
yeah,
work through the construction of how this
yeah,
should be. And I know we went through a couple different rounds, but in the end, I love that it's a combination of flying geese and stitch and flip.
yeah,
Um, which are both methods that the average quilter should know how to do
yeah,
and that are not
mhm,
not hard at all.
yeah.
What are your tips for us though for both methods? Do you have any tricks that you like to use?
So for both methods, both the because I use the four at a time flying geese because they're
Hmm.
which are these four in the middle here.
Yep, perfect.
And it looks like that's one piece, but it's not. The flying geese stops here
Yep.
and here. So they're four at a time. And then all the other pieces, as you say, that are the stitch and flip, require you to sew on the diagonal. And it's my big tip for it would be I'm a lazy quilter. I don't do anything that
Just
I
call it
don't
efficient.
need to do. Efficient. I'm an efficient quilter. I don't pre-wash fabric. People always ask if I pre-wash fabric. I don't pin. I don't do anything that stops me in my flow. But one thing that I would highly encourage you with this block is to make sure you do draw the diagonal mark lines on the back, both for the flying geese and the stitch and flip, because it is a block that needs some accuracy in it
Yep.
meeting. In those all those different layers really need to meet so that you've got that nice continuation of the lines coming down.
Right.
And if you don't mark those, it's going to be hard for you to get that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Ordinarily, I don't care. I'm not the quilt police.
Yeah,
I honestly am
I
so free and easy about things like that.
I
Um,
totally agree with you. It's one thing to sew a straight line that's away from an edge, right? You can follow your fabric, you can follow a guide, you can eyeball it, but when you're sewing with your fabric turned, right? Like at a diagonal,
Hmm.
you might be worried about that fabric pulling a little bit on the bias.
Exactly. Yeah.
Having that line to follow, I think really, really helps. I mean,
Yeah.
heck, if you had one of those fancy like laser things that like draws the
Oh,
line for you, like you could try to follow it, but even so,
yeah.
having a line to like guide it with
Yeah.
you is going to be important.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So
I always have to ask, are you uh looking at the back side? Are you a fold open seams, iron
I'm a
seams to one
fold
side
to
or
one
one
side.
side?
I'm a fold
Okay.
to one side, whichever way they go. So it could be a bit skewy sometimes, but I am definitely a
Yeah.
fold to one side. And I honestly don't mind sewing two double seams together if that's how they've ended up being instead of nesting. I don't like the fact that when you sew them open, that you can sometimes get a gap.
Yeah. Yeah, that always worries me as far as
Mm.
like strength of the seam. You
Yeah,
know, it feels a little exposed.
yeah.
But I know that sometimes it's more important that it lays flat, right? Like I can see where it can come in handy sometimes, but maybe you just shorten your stitch length so that you really tighten
Yeah,
that
and
down.
just press the hell out of it. You know, a
Starch it
good
well.
old press just
Can do
works
wonders.
wonders,
Yes.
really does. So, and
Yeah.
also all these little things, I was talking about this to a friend recently, that all these little things that we worry about with our stitches and slightly going bobbly and bulky. You only see that if you're looking like this at your work. Once you've made your quilt and it's quilted, no one's gazing an eye like this to check that, it's all lying flat, it's all 100%, and most of the time you cuddled in them or so please don't worry.
Yeah.
Do not worry.
Yeah.
Do things how you like to do them. And, obviously you want to make it the best it can be, but don't, not at the expense of
Of
really enjoying the
stress.
process. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, and that was one of the tips that you gave when I sent you the interview questions, which we'll include with this post on the blog. Um, there was a question about what kind of advice would you give to your younger self? And I really like what you
um,
said. Do you want to share that with us?
I will if I
Oh,
remember.
I mean, you don't have to read it off, but it was
I should
basically
have,
to the point of like, at first I was really intent on that finished project, like what it was like, and I rushed through the process, but then
yeah,
later learning to enjoy that process. Talk
yeah,
to us a little bit
yeah.
about that and how that really is guided um, the work that you do now.
So it really, really does. When I first started quilting, which was probably coming up for 20 years ago now, so I was relatively late to
Fantastic.
it. Um, I just wanted to, as we all do, wanted to make quilts, so I'd see that quilt behind you and I'd want to make that quilt and I'd want to have that quilt, almost like going into a shop. That's what I want. I want to come home with it.
Mhm.
And yes, I love the sewing and the quilting because wouldn't have really got into it if I didn't. But I cared more about the finished product. And I didn't necessarily enjoy the process as much as I should because I was just intent on seeing it finished. I wanted to see it finished and hold it up and feel it finished. And then I don't know what happened. I got into hand sewing a lot more.
Mhm.
And I love, love, love anything done by hand, whether it's needle turn applique, English paper piecing, hand piecing. Um, and I learned to love the actual process of what I was doing as much as the finished article, if not more sometimes. The
Yeah.
actual doing of the craft was what became the thing I loved. And I would definitely tell my younger self that enjoy the process because that's the thing that takes most of the time, and it's why we do it because we want to be doing that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely um in the past couple years have gotten started with really simple hexy EPP projects that I took with me
yeah, yeah.
on a big trip. We went to a week-long air show and I sat there and basted
Yeah,
my little squares, and it was so relaxing,
yeah,
and it was great to
yeah,
just take it anywhere, sit outside, do it in the car.
yeah,
And then moved on to doing hand embroidery and hand big stitch quilting, and I really find myself pivoting to do that more often, I
yeah,
think, than wanting to sit down at my machine. And I think
yeah,
that's fine, right? Like we all have phases in our life where we're drawn to different things, but I I agree. Could sometimes care less whether I finish a project. Like
yeah.
this is why I have like
Exactly.
30
I
WIPs.
know.
But
Exactly.
but I'm at least enjoying my time, and I see now that the purpose is a stress relief and a finding that creative time
Yeah,
in my life than it is about
yeah,
finishing something.
yeah, exactly. Because the time you spend on these projects is quite a lot. And if you're
Mhm.
stressed through that time, then
It's
it's not the
wasted.
relaxing, it's wasted. It's not the relaxing, mindful hobby, stopping, our normal daily life and enjoying that process. So yeah, I think it's really, really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. Um, how tell talk to me about how this relates to your printing work that you do. I did some printmaking in college, absolutely loved it. Wish I had time to do more of it and, the space for that. But you
Yeah,
have a little shed in your yard
I
where you have a
do.
little studio space set up. Tell us about
Yeah.
what you do and what you find yourself making out there.
Yeah, so you in the old house, we moved house. Well, actually, it's been about 8 years ago now. But in the old house, the house previous to this, we had a cellar, and I printed in the cellar, and I could just go down there and play and try things out and leave it all out. Nobody went down there. It was a damp old cellar, and nobody wanted to go any near it. So, I could literally go down there, escape, have that mindful time to experiment and try things out and leave it, come back up, and so on. Whereas when we moved here, I didn't have that space. And the table, that's our kitchen dining room there. And I was printing on the table there. And every time it was mealtime, I had to pull my those art tray racks, drying racks
Uh-huh.
down, bring them into here, set the table, move it off, put the other things out again. And it was,
Yeah.
as you can imagine, chaos and stressful. So it was actually in lockdown that which is something a lot of people did in lockdown, had a printing shed built out in the garden. And it was transforming in this house because it meant I had the same place that I had in the old house, which was my space. I could leave it
Hmm.
all lying out if I wanted to, and I just go in there and I print either when I'm in the mood or when I've got orders to print up or whether when I'm experimenting, trying
Hmm.
new designs and new colors. And printing gives me that same vibe as hand sewing does. I mean, it's obviously more energetic and it's more
Yeah.
physical, but it gives me that same mindful joy of the process.
Yeah.
Of yeah.
So what kind of things are you making? Are you printing mostly on fabric, on paper? Do you print on objects that are already made? What?
So generally, I'm printing fabric. So generally, I'm printing fabric to sell in my shop. And that takes up most of my time. Every now and then, if I've got some free time, I'll have some prints on Doobie. Or the other day, we've got some cut up wooden kitchen blocks, cutting boards. And I took those and thought, oh, this would look nice printed up, have a nice print on here. So I printed on my wooden boards. And I don't often have time just to play like that. And most of the time, as all our things are when our hobbies are our work, that it
Yeah.
becomes, more work-based and work-centric.
Yeah.
I keep saying I want to find time to design and print up things like wall calendars and posters and all that kind of thing and wrapping paper. But again, it's time that stops me
Yeah.
really. There's just
Yeah. Yeah. So are you cutting on lino blocks, wood? What is your medium there for your print?
so for my block printing, it's on an easy cut lino.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the printing that I do is screen printing.
Okay. Great.
So the majority of what I'm doing is screen printing. So using big screens and
And
uh,
chemical process to make those screens based on the original? If I'm I don't have a ton of experience in screen printing, but is that how it's essentially the
just
breakdown
say
of
that
how it
again. I
works?
missed that,
So
Lindsay.
is it a chemical resist
Yes.
process then?
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah. So I go down to a studio in town, and I expose my screens with my designs and put them on there and then bring them home and print from home. So I don't do any of the screen prep in the house. That all takes place in
Yeah,
an art studio in town.
great.
Um,
Do you
so yeah.
which do you find works better to adhere your designs to the fabric if you're later going to then go quilt with that fabric, having it screen printed or block printed, or are they kind of just different purposes?
They're different purposes, and the main advantage really of screen printing is that you can print up one piece of big
Mm,
fabric at a time, whereas with block printing, I mean, I use quite small
yeah.
little. I tend to, I'm trying to think if I've got anything to hand that
Well, I can just imagine you're having to do the repeat by yourself, right?
exactly, exactly. So, and I quite like doing a motif that's about maximum of 3 inches. I don't go very big with my block printing. So yeah, you're taking a long time to get one little bit of fabric with that. So I don't do that as much. What I tend to do actually, which is quite interesting, I tend to have a play with block printing and I might try a little motif and see how it looks and with the repeat and everything. And if I like it, then I might get that design printed up in repeat and put on a
On the
screen.
screen. Yeah,
So I,
I love that because then you're still
yeah,
getting the hand carved quality of the image from the
yeah,
block, the that kind of, feel that you
having
don't get from
exactly.
sketching or doing it on the
Yeah,
computer or whatever. Um,
yeah,
and then you're using the screen as the tool to produce it a little bit faster.
exactly. Yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's so fun.
yeah,
That's so
yeah.
fun. Well, I'll definitely include a link to your shop if people want to
Oh,
go
thank you. That'd be
peruse
great.
what your offerings are. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
But I will say, from what I've been reading, that you've been posting on social media, are you taking some of your designs but also doing fabric collections? Correct? You have done
Yes.
that in the
Yeah, yeah,
past and you have some new
yeah.
ones coming out. Tell
I
us
have some
about
new ones
this
coming out.
additional dimension to
Yeah,
your work because I mean
yeah.
that's a whole nother level.
It is a whole other level. And it's fantastic. I love it. I love working with the fabric companies. They're all so amazing and it's just so fun to because I work a lot on my own. I work with Joe and Lynn with the Thread House, but essentially what I do with my quilting and everything is on my own.
Yeah.
So to be able to collaborate and work with a fabric company is just amazing. And I'm currently with Andover.
Okay.
And my first collection with them is called Conway Cottage. And there's a second one called Freckles, which is a blender. And they have been announced, and now is the buying season for the
Great.
shops. So
Okay.
if you're a shop, go and buy.
We'll include some links. Do you have any samples of them?
I do,
Oh,
I
good.
do. Well,
I haven't seen them yet.
have you not seen them? Oh, well, let me
No,
show you this.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, you may not have done because it's essential. They're not out in the shops yet. They'll be coming to the shops
Yeah.
around April time, I think.
Great. But now is the time to place. Oh,
So,
yes.
so this
Oh,
is
fun. Oh, I noticed the cross print that we've seen
yes,
in the planner. a
Yes, you
couple years
have.
ago.
So
Ooh,
there's three designs. In fact, I can find them here for you that were in my original Robert Kaufman Blueberry Park, and
yep.
I've
And
brought them.
how many colorways will that one be in? Are
That
they all
one.
in different colorways? I'm assuming.
There's diff. Yeah, so there's that color as well,
Nice.
and
Yes.
there's a really nice low volume one, which is lovely, and I think is going to be super useful. Um, where is that one? Should be able to. Oh, let's see it on here if I've got it on here. Um, where is the little? Oh, here we go. It's white with. I don't even know if you'll be able to see it on there.
Oh yeah. A slight gray. That is
Yeah,
perfect. Because it,
yeah,
yeah, it's a total blender.
yeah.
I love that.
And then the other one you might recognize is this one,
Yes.
but it was all
Oh,
dots in the middle previously, so we've
okay.
included more detail in there.
That is super fun.
So that's really good fun. And then the other one that you might recognize is this fella.
Oh, yes, yes,
So
yes,
that's on the
yes.
bags, isn't it?
Yes, it
The
is. Those
rows of
little,
the flower beds.
uh-huh, little flowers and the kind of
Yeah.
cross-stitchy ones. Oh, I'm so glad to
So
see them like that in that
I know they've come out really great.
patchwork feel
Yeah.
approach. Oh,
So
that's
very
so
happy with
fun.
that. And then one of the other designs is this bird one.
Oh, lovely.
That's a new
Yes.
one. And then we have this one called Atelier. That's,
Oh, I love that.
I
That
think
is
that's going to
super
be
fun.
useful too. Yes.
Oh, I'm in love. I love a good geometric print,
Yeah.
but the texture feels just really organic too.
Yes. So
Oh,
there's
so fun.
those. Yeah. So that's, and then the fabric that goes, blender that goes with it is called Freckles because
Oh, fun.
loads
Oh,
of
so fun. Look at all of those.
freckles.
Ah, how did you make the choice on the color story and all the swatches you wanted to include? G- Just I don't know. To me,
So
picking color is the hardest part of
it's
any
so
project.
hard. It is. Picking colors is really difficult, but this is probably my go-to color story.
I love
You know,
it.
if ever I'm picking out fabrics, it's this kind of thing
Yeah,
that's
it's
end up.
very you.
It is very me. So I apologize for all those sewers out there that it's
Hey,
not them. It's not
if
a
it speaks to
rainbow.
them, it's okay. Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
it's
But
lovely. I love
for
it.
my first collection with the with Andover, I wanted to do something that really meant a lot to me, and was very me because there's no point really if you're not going to be true to yourself.
Yeah,
And I try and take in other people's and customers' um, views and what they want as well. But I've got to be happy with it, and I've got to be
yeah,
happy sewing with it.
yeah.
The second collection, which is going to be launched in, where are we now? October already, aren't we? Is going to be launched in December. For those of you that find that too drab and not enough color, wait for December.
Okay. I'm assuming you can't give us any sneak peeks because the hush
I
has until then, right?
think I'll get shocked.
Okay.
I think
Well,
I
when
will.
when when it is time to release, we'll make sure that we share it with everybody.
That
Um,
would be great.
and I can't
Yeah,
wait. I can't wait to
yeah.
see it. So I'm so
Thank
glad. I'm
you.
glad you're working with Andover. I've heard
Thank you.
really
Yes,
great
me
things
too.
about them.
They are
And
wonderful. I'll just hold you up this that's the freckles.
oh, that's awesome. I love that. And now is that an FPP
So
block?
that's
Look at all of
FPP.
those
Yes. Yeah. So
pieces. Fun.
yeah.
Will that be a pattern that you'll offer?
That's a pattern available on my shop now.
Oh,
And
great,
then
great.
you'll be able to purchase fabrics and make it.
That's so
or
fun.
make it with others.
Right. Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah.
So exciting. So exciting. Okay, so there was one other thing I was going to ask you too. Um, Talk to us about the Thread House. You've mentioned this before. I don't think I've quite understood what it is. Is it a retreat center? Is it a classes? Tell me all about it.
Both, Lindsay, it's both.
Awesome.
Everything, everything.
Okay, I need to
So
book a trip then.
yeah, you do. You
I do.
absolutely do. We have lots come over from the US. It's fantastic. So the Thread House it started as just being retreats and patterns. Back in, oh goodness, I think we've been going now for about 8 years,
Wow.
about 8 years, with Joe Avery and Lynn Goldsworthy.
Hmm.
And the three of us, it was an excuse just for us to spend more time together, really. I live in Leeds and in sort of the north of England. Joe lives in Edinburgh, just outside Edinburgh in Scotland, and Lynn lives in Derbyshire, which is further south from me. So we set up this company where we were doing retreats out in the wilds in the UK. Part of the thing about it was that we wanted to be literally be a retreat, a getaway from it all. We didn't want to be in a convention centre under bright lights, racing to get all those projects finished because you've got, that kind of retreat. Very much a retreat from it all and get into the countryside, go for walks, do sewing, have classes, all that kind of thing. And then the other thing that we set alongside it that came out really after COVID or during COVID was we started doing online retreats because obviously we
Yeah,
couldn't get in person with people. So we retreats online and had workshops and classes and had whole weekends of this, and which was fantastic. And it was a great community during that time. And once lockdown cleared and people didn't want to be tied to their computers anymore, they wanted to go back to doing either real classes or meeting people. We stopped doing that, but we transferred it to an academy. And we now run our academy, our Thread House Academy, that makes it sound rather grand. Um, and we run a year's program, but you can sign up for, and in each year we have 3 terms, and in each term we have 4 classes, one by each of us, and then an AN other that goes on. And we basically you can join up for just one class if one class takes your fancy. You can sign up for the term if that term's topic takes your fancy, or you can join for the whole year and be an annual member.
great.
One of the advantages of being annual or termly member is we have a community chat. So we have a group on the website where people drop in, they show how they're getting on with that project, ask questions, just a lovely quilting community.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's fantastic. We love it. We've met people from all over the world through it, both virtually with the academy, and we have people from all over the world come to our retreats. So it's just been a really, really wonderful experience.
Awesome. And um, so you're still doing the retreats in person there? And
We are.
how often, how many per year do you end up doing?
So we've had 2 a year, and this next year we've signed up to do 3,
Okay.
because it's just been so popular. And we're already looking at 2026 because we've got a waiting list for next year, and people. Even today, I had an email from somebody saying, "Have you got your 2026 dates? Because I've missed your 2025. I'm desperate to come."
Oh,
So
that's so
it
wonderful.
it is wonderful. And the venue that we now use, it's quite close to me. It's in a stately home. Do you know what I mean by
Yeah.
stately home?
Oh, yeah.
It's in the grounds of a stately home and converted cottages, and it's all
Ah,
hand sewing. So everyone sits around and chats and, just and does the workshops and enjoys just doing that going back to the mindful processes, and we go for walks, and it's just
That sounds like
fantastic.
heaven. It
It
just,
is. It is heaven. It is.
oh, that's so
Yeah, it's
wonderful.
great.
Okay, so
Um,
we'll include some more information
yeah.
for that. And w is the best way to find out about like when those new dates are announced? Do you have a specific newsletter people should sign up for that, or just your newsletter?
Yes. Yeah. Sign up for the newsletter
Okay,
and you may get all the other newsletters that come out as well. But we don't actually do that many newsletters. The main newsletters we do are for the Academy. So if you're not signed up for the Academy, you won't get those anyway.
sure.
So that's fine. So if you sign up for the regular newsletter, just on the Thread House, then you will get the information when the
Great.
class is. And follow us on Instagram because we put a lot of stuff out there as well.
Yeah.
Um, we are looking in 2026 at a venue in France. So that's going to be
Well,
an exciting
okay.
one.
That's exciting.
So
How
yeah,
many, how often do you have people who come out for a retreat, but then like make a whole extra week of travel around it? Is that a thing?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. We do have that. We had three sisters. We've just done a retreat in September, and we had three sisters from, actually two sisters and a cousin who came from Western Canada, I think they were.
Wow.
And they came over for a week beforehand and a week after, or a few days before and a few days after, and
Ah,
made
perfect.
made a trip of it. So
Yeah. Well, if I
yeah,
come, if it's although if it's in France and you're looking at that, I mean, a
yeah.
week is not enough, right? Like
Exactly.
you have to have at least a
Yeah,
week for Paris, and
you do.
at least,
Exactly.
I would be stuck in the museums all day because I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
it there, but
exactly.
so
So,
fun,
yeah,
so exciting.
yeah, yeah,
I would I know there's retreats in the US, but just something about the location there and the long history that
yeah.
your country has is just very, very
Mm,
intriguing, very
yeah.
exciting. All
Well,
right.
you'd be most welcome. We'd love to see you there.
Oh, good, good. Okay, I'll keep an eye out and start saving my pennies. Um, okay, let's see. We talked about your block. We talked about your tips. Are there any other things that you have going on? Your fabric line, your patterns, your hand stitching. Y- You are a multi-faceted, talented
I'm
woman. You have a
pretty
lot of
busy.
fun
I'm
things.
definitely pretty busy. My other big thing at the moment is I've been asked to do the raffle quilt for QuiltCon.
I remember seeing a post about
Yeah.
that. That is big deal.
Yeah, so it is a
Yeah,
big deal. It's a huge deal. So I hope I can
yeah,
live up to the big deal. So I'm just finishing that off, which is under wraps. I'm obviously can't show it yet because
that's
it'll be
okay.
hanging up at QuiltCon. But that's very exciting, and that's been a real privilege,
Yeah,
being asked to do that. So I'm absolutely thrilled. So yeah, I'm just finishing that up
great.
and getting ready to send that off.
And
Um,
are you going to be coming to QuiltCon?
yes,
Oh,
I
well,
am. Are you
perfect.
going to be there?
I'm probably most likely going, so we'll have to meet up.
Fantastic,
Yeah, there's
fantastic.
been several
Yeah,
other ambassadors we've been chatting about this year or with this
yeah.
year that are planning to come too. We'll have to do a meetup. That would be really
Oh,
fun.
Jemima is, I think, isn't she?
Mm-hmm.
She's coming.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm teaching.
Well,
Um,
you're teaching. She's teaching too. That's great.
she's teaching too. So yeah, I love
Yeah,
QuiltCon. QuiltCon is just the best.
the
It's
best.
just
Yeah,
so wonderful to see everybody and mingle and be with our tribe. It's very good fun.
yeah,
It's a highlight of the year.
yeah,
So very excited.
yeah. Okay. Well, um, I think that covers everything. I will mention that we are currently in our sell season for the 2025 planner. I
Yes.
have the sneak peek of um, the planner that will be for 2025 with the new tabs added, our new dividers, which is so
Ooh,
exciting.
very.
And we're featuring some wonderful photos again from Kitty Wilkin, our planner photographer, and it's gonna be amazing. So every planner this year will come with your own customized uh, with the cover design that you want, laminated. And then if you also pick hardcover or paperback, we're also going to put your cover pick on the cover as well, which
Mm.
is different from last year. And I will mention that if you are interested, if you live in the UK or in the UK, we are gathering interest of who would be interested in having Karen uh, distribute some planners for us in the UK. So sign up for our newsletter so you can share with us if that's something that interests you. Um, and more details to come about all of that. So yes. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me today. It's been so
Thank you
lovely
for
to
having.
chat. I love hearing all of your wonderful art stories and everything you have going on.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Have a great week.
You too.
Bye.